Picture this. You're standing in front of an ice cream shop on a sweltering summer day, faced with dozens of flavors: vanilla bean, chocolate fudge swirl, strawberry cheesecake, cookie dough, salted caramel, and flavors you never imagined like lavender honey or black sesame. You grab a cone, choose your favorites, and within moments you're enjoying one of life's simple pleasures: cold, creamy, perfectly sweet ice cream. But have you ever wondered how this frozen delight came to exist? How did humans first discover that you could turn milk and cream into something so magical? The story of ice cream spans thousands of years, crosses continents, involves emperors and slaves, kings and pharmacists, and even connects to religious laws and world wars. It's a tale of innovation born from necessity, luxury transformed into accessibility, and simple pleasures that unite cultures across the globe. Today, the global ice cream industry is worth over $80 billion annually. Americans alone consume approximately 23 pounds of ice cream per person each year. That's roughly 1.5 billion gallons nationwide. From the humblest vanilla soft serve to elaborate gelato served in Italian piazzas, ice cream has become one of the world's most beloved foods. But this wasn't always the case. Just 200 years ago, ice cream was a luxury so exclusive that only royalty and the wealthy could afford it. The process was laborious, the ingredients expensive, and the results unpredictable. So how did we get from snow mixed with fruit in ancient China to birthday cake-flavored ice cream sandwiches at your local grocery store? Let's embark on a delicious journey through time to discover the remarkable history of ice cream. Ancient origins. The birth of frozen treats. The story of ice cream begins not with a single inventor, but with humanity's ancient desire to create something cold and sweet during hot weather. Archaeological evidence suggests that our earliest known frozen treat appeared in ancient China around 2000 BCE. Chinese farmers had recently begun domesticating animals for milk, making dairy a rare and precious commodity reserved primarily for nobility. The wealthy Chinese discovered they could create a refreshing summer treat by mixing overcooked rice, spices, and milk into a soft paste, then packing it with snow imported from mountain regions. This milk ice served both as refreshment and status symbol. After all, transporting snow across China during summer required enormous resources and demonstrated tremendous wealth. During China's Tang dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, the concept evolved significantly. King Tang of Shang maintained an impressive staff of 2,271 people, including 94 dedicated icemen whose sole job was transporting ice to the palace. The royal ice cream makers heated and fermented buffalo, cow, and goat milk to create a yogurt-like base, then mixed it with flour for thickening and camphor for flavoring before refrigerating it with ice and salt. While camphor might seem like an unusual ice cream ingredient today, it provided a cooling sensation that enhanced the frozen treat's refreshing qualities. Simultaneously, ancient Persia was developing its own frozen dessert traditions. Around 400 BCE, Persians created faluda, a mixture of rosewater, vermicelli noodles, and ice that provided relief from the intense Middle Eastern heat. Persian cooks also mixed fruit juices with snow or ice to create early fruit sorbets, often flavored with cherry, pomegranate, or quince. The word sherbet actually derives from the Persian sharbat, highlighting the linguistic connections between ancient and modern frozen desserts. Even the mighty Roman Empire contributed to early ice cream development. Emperor Nero, notorious for his extravagant lifestyle, reportedly enjoyed snow mixed with fruits and honey. Servants would run from his palace to the nearest mountains to collect fresh snow, which was then combined with exotic fruits, honey, and sometimes wine. Roman historians documented various cold treats, including snow mixed with fruit purees that were used not just for refreshment, but also as offerings to the gods. Alexander the Great, the legendary Macedonian conqueror, also indulged in frozen treats during his campaigns. Historical accounts describe him enjoying snow flavored with honey and wine, demonstrating that even in ancient times, the appeal of cold, sweet treats crossed cultural and geographical boundaries. These ancient civilizations established the fundamental principles that would eventually evolve into modern ice cream, combining dairy or sweet liquids with ice, using natural flavoring agents, and understanding that the wealthy would pay premium prices for cold treats during hot weather. However, the knowledge and techniques remained largely regional, and when empires fell, many of these early frozen dessert traditions were temporarily lost. Medieval connections, trade routes, and cultural exchange. As the Roman Empire declined and medieval trade networks emerged, knowledge about frozen desserts began traveling along the famous Silk Road and other trading routes. This wasn't a simple transfer of recipes, it was a gradual evolution and adaptation of techniques as different cultures encountered new ingredients, technologies, and tastes. The Arab world played a crucial role in preserving and advancing frozen dessert knowledge. Around 800 to 900 CE, Arab conquest of the Persian Empire led to cultural fusion that significantly advanced ice cream development. Arab scientists and cooks didn't just adopt existing recipes, they innovated by introducing dairy into fruit ice formulas and, most importantly, discovered how to use rock salt with ice to freeze liquids more quickly and effectively. This salt and ice technique represented a major technological breakthrough. By adding salt to ice, medieval cooks could achieve much lower temperatures than ice alone, allowing them to create properly frozen rather than merely chilled desserts. This method would remain the standard ice cream freezing technique for over 1,000 years. Arab traders and scholars also systematized flavor combinations and preservation techniques. They developed sophisticated fruit sorbets using advanced sugar refining methods, moving beyond simple honey sweetening to create more complex and stable frozen desserts. These innovations spread throughout the Islamic world and eventually reached Europe through various channels. Medieval Europe initially received these frozen dessert concepts through multiple pathways. The Crusades certainly exposed European nobles to Middle Eastern luxury foods, including frozen treats. However, the most significant transfer probably occurred through Spain during the Islamic occupation and through Sicily, which was an Islamic emirate from 965 to 1072 CE. This meant that Oriental frozen dessert traditions weren't just imported to Europe, they actually developed and flourished on European soil. Medieval European monasteries, with their focus on preservation and their networks spanning continents, likely played important roles in maintaining and developing frozen dessert knowledge. Monasteries often maintained ice houses for food preservation and had the resources to experiment with luxury food preparation. They also hosted wealthy nobles and visiting dignitaries who would have been familiar with frozen treats from their travels. Italian city-states, particularly Venice with its extensive Mediterranean trading networks, became early European centers of frozen dessert innovation. Venetian merchants encountered Arab and Byzantine frozen treats through trade relationships, gradually adapting these concepts to local tastes and ingredients. By the medieval period, wealthy Venetians were already enjoying primitive forms of what would eventually become gelato. Italian Renaissance, the birth of modern ice cream. Italy rightfully claims the title as the birthplace of modern ice cream. While other civilizations created frozen treats, it was Italian Renaissance cooks who transformed these early experiments into something recognizably similar to contemporary ice cream. The transformation occurred gradually during the 16th and 17th centuries. Italian nobles, particularly in Florence, Naples, and Sicily, began developing more sophisticated frozen dessert techniques. They moved beyond simple fruit ices to create dairy-based frozen confections that were creamy, smooth, and stable, the essential characteristics of true ice cream. A crucial breakthrough came through the work of Blasius Villafranca, a Spanish physician living in Rome during the 1560s. Villafranca discovered that mixing ice or snow with water and saltpeter, potassium nitrate, caused the snow to melt faster, while simultaneously creating temperatures cold enough to freeze liquid mixtures solid. This discovery enabled Florentine confectioners to create the world's first properly frozen solid ice creams rather than merely chilled slushes. Less than 10 years later, the iconic bombe glacée had become a staple on elegant Italian dining tables. These elaborate frozen desserts were molded into decorative shapes and served at formal banquets, representing the height of culinary sophistication. The most famous ice cream recipe from this period comes from Antonio Latini, a Spanish-trained confectioner working in Naples during the 1690s. Latini recorded a recipe for a milk-based sorbet that historians consider one of the closest ancestors to modern ice cream. His recipe featured milk, sugar, and candied bits of pumpkin, frozen using the advanced salt and ice techniques that had been refined over the previous century. Italian ice cream artisans also developed the custard-based ice cream using egg yolks around the middle of the 18th century, a technique that originated in France but was quickly adopted and refined in Italy. This represented another major advancement as egg yolks provided richness, stability, and improved texture that made frozen desserts more similar to modern ice cream. The legendary story of Catherine de' Medici bringing Italian ice cream chefs to France when she married the future King Henri II in 1533 has become part of ice cream mythology. According to this tale, Catherine's servants, including a former chicken farmer turned dessert chef named Ruggiero, dazzled French wedding guests by serving differently flavored ices every day during the month-long celebration. However, modern historians consider this story largely apocryphal, a charming legend that probably developed long after the fact. What is certain is that by the 1600s, communities throughout Venice, Naples, and Sicily were regularly consuming sorbetto, their version of Arab fruit-filled ices enhanced with Italian dairy expertise. These early gelatos were made using increasingly sophisticated techniques and served in specialized shops that were precursors to modern gelaterias. Italian innovations in ice cream extended beyond recipes to equipment and service methods. Italian craftsmen developed improved molds, serving vessels, and storage techniques that would influence ice cream preparation for centuries. They also established many of the flavor combinations, particularly fruit and nut varieties, that remain popular today. French refinement, the royal treatment. France's contribution to ice cream history centers on refinement, luxury, and royal patronage. While Italians invented modern ice cream techniques, the French transformed ice cream into a symbol of aristocratic culture and culinary artistry. French confectioners refined the custard-based ice cream using egg yolks, creating incredibly rich and smooth textures that became the gold standard for premium ice cream. These French-style ice creams required significant skill to prepare properly. The eggs had to be perfectly tempered to avoid curdling. The mixture needed precise temperature control, and the freezing process demanded constant attention. The establishment of Café Procope in Paris in 1686 by Sicilian chef Francesco Procopio dei Coltelli marked a crucial moment in ice cream's social evolution. This café served gelato to famous clientele including Victor Hugo and Napoleon Bonaparte, helping establish ice cream as fashionable entertainment rather than merely aristocratic luxury. Café Procope demonstrated that ice cream could succeed as a commercial venture while maintaining its association with sophistication and culture. French ice cream innovation also included the development of sophisticated flavor profiles. While earlier frozen desserts relied primarily on fruit flavors, French confectioners experimented with complex combinations, including vanilla, chocolate, coffee, and various liqueurs. They also pioneered techniques for incorporating nuts, candied fruits, and other textural elements that enhanced both flavor and visual appeal. The French approach to ice cream service was equally important. They developed elaborate presentation styles, specialized serving vessels, and formal ice cream course structures that influenced dining customs throughout Europe. Ice cream became an essential component of French haute cuisine, served at state dinners and diplomatic functions where food represented national prestige. French technical innovations included improved icehouse design, better insulation methods, and more efficient churning techniques. French engineers and craftsmen developed specialized equipment that made ice cream production more reliable and consistent, enabling broader distribution beyond palace kitchens. Crossing the Atlantic, ice cream reaches America. Ice cream arrived in colonial America with the earliest European settlers, but initially remained a luxury accessible only to the wealthy. The challenges of ice cream production in the New World were substantial. Ice was scarce in southern colonies, dairy products required careful handling, and the necessary equipment was expensive and difficult to obtain. The first documented reference to ice cream consumption in America appears in a 1744 account by a Scottish colonist who attended a dinner at Maryland Governor Thomas Bladen's home. The guest described a dessert, among the rarities of which it was composed, was some fine ice cream which, with the strawberries and milk, eat most deliciously. This represents the earliest written record of ice cream being served in the American colonies. America's founding fathers played surprising roles in ice cream's early development. Thomas Jefferson, who developed sophisticated tastes during his time as ambassador to France, brought a recipe for vanilla ice cream back to Philadelphia. He famously served ice cream at presidential dinners, helping establish it as appropriate for formal American entertaining. Jefferson's handwritten ice cream recipe, dating from the 1780s, still exists and provides insight into early American ice cream preparation methods. George Washington was also an ice cream enthusiast. His household ledgers describe a cream machine for ice, and records show he spent over $200 on ice cream during the summer of 1790, a substantial sum equivalent to thousands of dollars today. Martha Washington became associated with ice cream through a popular but untrue legend claiming she accidentally invented ice cream by leaving sweet cream on Mount Vernon's back steps overnight. Colonial Americans had to adapt European ice cream techniques to New World conditions. They developed methods for harvesting and storing ice from frozen ponds and rivers, created root cellars and ice houses for preservation, and learned to use local ingredients like maple syrup and native fruits for flavoring. Ice cream remained expensive and labor-intensive throughout the colonial period. Wealthy families might employ servants specifically to operate hand-crank ice cream makers, while middle-class families reserved ice cream for special occasions like holidays and celebrations. The revolutionary invention, Nancy Johnson's ice cream maker. The transformation of ice cream from exclusive luxury to accessible treat required a technological breakthrough, and that breakthrough came from Philadelphia inventor Nancy Johnson in 1843. Johnson's hand-cranked ice cream freezer revolutionized ice cream production and marked the beginning of ice cream's democratization in America. Before Johnson's invention, ice cream was made using the laborious pot freezer method. This involved placing a pewter pot containing the ice cream mixture inside a larger container filled with ice and salt, then manually stirring and scraping the mixture with a spattle, a small spade on a long handle, as it slowly froze around the edges. The process was time-consuming, physically demanding, and produced inconsistent results. Johnson's patented artificial freezer, granted on September 9, 1843 as patent number 3254, contained a wooden tub, a metal cylinder with a close-fitting lid, a removable dasher, and a hand crank. The metal cylinder sat inside the wooden tub surrounded by ice and salt, while the hand crank rotated an internal dasher that continuously churned the ice cream mixture. This constant churning prevented ice crystals from forming and created smooth, evenly frozen ice cream in about 45 minutes. The genius of Johnson's design lay in its simplicity and effectiveness. Unlike earlier methods that required constant manual intervention, the ice cream maker could operate continuously with just periodic cranking. The design was so successful that variations of Johnson's basic concept are still used today in both hand crank and electric ice cream makers. Johnson's invention had immediate impact on American ice cream consumption. Suddenly, any household could produce high-quality ice cream at home, provided they could afford rock salt, commonly called ice cream salt, and access to ice. The mechanical advantage of the hand crank system meant that children and less physically robust adults could participate in ice cream making, turning it into a social family activity. William Young received a similar patent in 1848 for what he called the Johnson Patent Ice Cream Freezer, acknowledging Johnson's pioneering work while claiming his design improved upon hers by making both the cylinder and dasher revolve. This created more thorough agitation and even better texture. The social implications of Johnson's invention extended far beyond convenience. Ice cream making became a popular social activity at church gatherings, community events, and family celebrations. Children would take turns cranking while adults prepared toppings and served the finished product. The laborious but rewarding process created anticipation and community involvement that enhanced ice cream's appeal. The father of commercial ice cream, Jacob Fussel's revolution. While Nancy Johnson democratized ice cream production, it was Baltimore milk dealer Jacob Fussell who transformed ice cream from homemade treat to commercial industry. Fussell's innovations between 1851 and 1856 established the foundation for America's modern ice cream industry. Fussell's entry into ice cream production resulted from practical business necessity rather than culinary passion. As a Quaker operating dairy delivery routes in Baltimore, Fussell faced the challenge of unpredictable demand for cream. During summer months, when demand for cream decreased, Fussell often found himself with surplus product that would spoil quickly in the heat. The solution came through a business opportunity. When a local caterer who produced frozen confections defaulted on debt to an older Quaker businessman, the lender asked Fussell to take over the operation rather than lose the investment entirely. Recognizing that ice cream production could provide a profitable outlet for excess cream, Fussell established the first wholesale ice cream operation in American history. Fussell's breakthrough was scale and pricing. While existing ice cream vendors charged 60 cents per quart, Fussell's mass production techniques enabled him to sell ice cream for just 25 cents per quart while maintaining healthy profit margins. This dramatic price reduction made ice cream accessible to middle-class families rather than just the wealthy. In 1851 to 1852, Fussell established his first factory in Seven Valleys, Pennsylvania, strategically located near dairy farms and railroad transportation. He contracted local miller Daniel Henry to build an ice house and ice cream factory on Main Street adjacent to Codorus Creek, providing access to both ice storage and transportation infrastructure. The factory operated during summer months, with finished ice cream packed in ice and shipped by rail to Baltimore for distribution. Fussell's factory represented the first successful attempt at mass-producing ice cream using industrial-scale replicas of Nancy Johnson's hand-crank design. His operation included huge churns, systematic ice storage, and standardized production processes that ensured consistent quality and quantity. By controlling the entire production chain, from dairy sourcing to final distribution, Fussell could maintain quality while reducing costs. The success was immediate and substantial. Fussell expanded rapidly, opening manufacturing operations in Baltimore, 1854, Washington, D.C., 1856, Boston, 1862, and New York City, 1864. By 1909, his factories were producing and packing 30 million gallons of ice cream annually, earning him recognition as the father of the wholesale ice cream industry. Fussell's business model established patterns that would define the American ice cream industry for decades. He demonstrated that ice cream could be profitably mass-produced, distributed regionally, and marketed to broad consumer bases rather than just elite customers. His factory system proved that ice cream manufacture could scale up from kitchen craft to industrial production without sacrificing quality. The soda fountain era. Ice cream meets social culture. The late 19th century witnessed ice cream's integration into American social culture through the rise of soda fountains. These establishments, typically located in pharmacies and drugstores, became community gathering places where ice cream played a central role in creating new forms of entertainment and socialization. Soda fountains originated in pharmacies where pharmacists served carbonated water as a health tonic. The addition of flavored syrups created the first sodas, and the natural progression to serving ice cream alongside these beverages created the ice cream soda, a combination that would dominate American refreshment culture for decades. The ice cream soda, invented by Philadelphia pharmacist Robert Greene in 1874, represented a perfect marriage of existing soda fountain capabilities with the growing popularity of ice cream. These drinks combined flavored syrups, carbonated water, and scoops of ice cream to create refreshing beverages that were both filling and entertaining to consume. Soda fountains quickly evolved into elaborate social establishments featuring marble counters, ornate fixtures, and skilled soda jerks who developed reputations for their ability to create increasingly complex ice cream-based drinks and sundaes. These establishments served as informal community centers where people gathered to socialize, conduct business, and enjoy the latest frozen treats. The social significance of soda fountains extended beyond mere refreshment. They provided appropriate venues for young people to meet and socialize under community oversight, offered air-conditioned comfort during hot weather, and created spaces where families could enjoy affordable luxury experiences together. Soda fountain operators became important cultural figures in their communities. Skilled soda jerks developed signature drinks and sundaes, often named after local personalities or events. They served as informal entertainers, news sources, and social facilitators who helped strengthen community bonds through shared ice cream experiences. The expansion of soda fountains was remarkable. By 1922, the New York Times estimated that the United States had more than 100,000 soda fountains, generating $1 billion in annual sales. Most of these were located in drugstores, but independent ice cream parlors and specialty soda fountains also flourished in urban and rural communities nationwide. The Sundae Problem. Birth of the Ice Cream Sundae. One of ice cream history's most interesting chapters involves religious laws and creative problem-solving that led to the invention of the ice cream sundae. This beloved dessert was born from the collision between popular culture and religious restrictions in late 19th century America. During the 1880s, many American communities enforced blue laws, religious-based regulations that restricted various activities on Sundays. These laws, rooted in Christian traditions of Sabbath observance, prohibited everything from dancing and theater performances to the sale of alcohol and, in some communities, even carbonated beverages. The prohibition on soda sales created a particular problem for soda fountain operators whose businesses depended heavily on ice cream sodas, the most popular refreshments of the era. Ice cream sodas were considered somewhat scandalous by religious conservatives who disapproved of the sucking action required to drink them through straws, viewing this as inappropriate behavior, especially on Sundays. Creative soda fountain operators developed an ingenious workaround. They served ice cream with flavored syrups but without the carbonated water, creating a new dessert that technically complied with Sunday soda restrictions. These Sunday sodas proved so popular that they continued being served throughout the week, eventually becoming independent menu items. Multiple American cities claim to have invented the ice cream sundae, with particularly fierce competition between Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and Ithaca, New York. Two Rivers claims that in 1881, local resident George Hallauer asked pharmacist Edward Berners to drizzle chocolate syrup over vanilla ice cream. Berners initially thought the combination would taste terrible, but relented and began serving the treat every Sunday for 5 cents. He eventually started serving it daily, adding various toppings like nuts, fruit, and different syrups. Ithaca's claim centers on April 3, 1892, when Reverend John Scott visited Chester Platt's pharmacy after church services. Platt added cherry syrup and a candied cherry to the Reverend's usual ice cream, creating what they called a cherry sundae. The oldest known written evidence of a sundae, Platt and Colt's newspaper advertisement for Cherry Sundae, appeared in the Ithaca Daily Journal on April 5, 1892. Other cities with Sunday origin claims include Evanston, Illinois, where strong Methodist influence led to strict Sunday restrictions on soda sales. Local pharmacists created Sunday sodas by removing the prohibited carbonated water but keeping the ice cream and syrup. Cleveland, Ohio also claims Sunday invention through a druggist who created fruit sundaes to circumvent local blue laws. The spelling change from Sunday to Sunday likely occurred to avoid offending religious sensibilities. Many historians believe the alternative spelling was adopted specifically to prevent accusations of using the Christian Sabbath for commercial purposes, demonstrating the delicate balance between business innovation and community religious values. The Sunday's popularity spread rapidly throughout America. By 1909, the Ice Cream Trade Journal listed dozens of sundae varieties, including Robin Hood Sundae, Black Hawk Sundae, Angel Cake Sundae, Opera Sundae, Knickerbocker Sundae, and George Washington Sundae. This diversity reflected both regional preferences and soda fountain operators' creativity in developing signature variations. The 1904 World's Fair, Ice Cream Goes Portable. The 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition in St. Louis, Missouri, represents a crucial moment in ice cream history when frozen treats became truly portable and accessible to mass audiences. While the fair didn't invent the ice cream cone, it certainly popularized this revolutionary serving method that would transform ice cream consumption worldwide. Before the World's Fair, ice cream was typically served in glass dishes called penny licks that customers returned, rinsed, and reused. This system worked for stationary soda fountains but proved impractical for large crowds of fairgoers who wanted to walk around while eating. The fair's massive scale, nearly 20 million visitors over 7 months, created unprecedented demand for portable food options. The ice cream cone's presence at the 1904 fair is well documented, though its exact invention story remains disputed. The most popular account credits Ernest Hamwi, a 16-year-old Syrian immigrant who operated a concession selling zalabia, crispy waffle-like Middle Eastern pastries, at the Constantinople on the Pike exhibit. According to Hamwi's later recollections, when a neighboring ice cream vendor ran out of dishes, he rolled a zalabia into a funnel shape to create an edible container. The innovation proved immediately popular, and soon ice cream concessions throughout the fair were purchasing rolled waffles to serve as cones. However, multiple vendors claimed credit for the ice cream cone invention, including Abe Dumar from Lebanon, Nick and Albert Kabaz from Syria, David Avayu from Turkey, and brothers Frank and Charles Menches from Ohio. Historian Ann Funderburg has documented 7 different origin stories, all connected to the 1904 fair. The lack of contemporary documentation makes it impossible to determine which, if any, of these stories is accurate. What is certain is that Italian immigrant Italo Marchioni had already patented a mold for making edible ice cream cups on December 22, 1903, and claimed to have been serving ice cream in edible containers since 1896. However, Marchioni's patent showed molded cups with handles rather than the rolled waffle cones that became popular at the fair. The World's Fair popularized the ice cream cone throughout America by demonstrating its practicality and appeal to millions of visitors. Newspapers across the country reported on this novel cornucopia ice cream sandwich, and county fairs throughout 1905 featured advertisements promoting ice cream cones as seen at the World's Fair in St. Louis. St. Louis entrepreneurs quickly capitalized on the cone's success by developing specialized baking equipment for mass-producing waffle cones. The foundry town's metalworking expertise proved perfect for manufacturing the irons and molds needed to produce cones commercially. The fair's impact on ice cream extended beyond the cone to include broader popularization of frozen treats among diverse American populations. Visitors from rural areas and small towns experienced ice cream for the first time, while urban visitors discovered new flavors and serving styles. This exposure helped drive demand for ice cream nationwide and contributed to the rapid expansion of ice cream businesses throughout the early 20th century. Prohibition and the ice cream boom. The era of Prohibition, 1920 to 1933, paradoxically became a golden age for ice cream in America. When alcohol became illegal, Americans turned to ice cream and other sweet treats for entertainment, socialization, and comfort. This period witnessed remarkable growth in ice cream consumption and innovation that established frozen desserts as central to American culture. The connection between alcohol prohibition and ice cream popularity was both direct and symbolic. Soda fountains replaced saloons as primary gathering places for adult socialization. Where adults had previously met for drinks, they now congregated over ice cream sodas, sundaes, and elaborate frozen desserts. The social rituals surrounding alcohol consumption transferred to ice cream establishments, creating new forms of community interaction centered around frozen treats. Soda fountain operators, many of whom had previously served alcohol legally in their establishments, redirected their creativity toward developing increasingly sophisticated ice cream-based drinks and desserts. They created complex sundaes, elaborate ice cream sodas, and innovative frozen cocktails that satisfied Americans' desires for indulgent, celebratory experiences without violating prohibition laws. Some enterprising soda fountain operators found legal ways to incorporate alcohol into their offerings. Establishments could sell alcohol for medicinal purposes, leading to creative concoctions like the Aspen Crud, ice cream laced with bourbon, served by a Colorado soda fountain that exploited medicinal alcohol exemptions. The ice cream boom during Prohibition coincided with significant technological advances that made frozen desserts more accessible and affordable. Improved refrigeration methods enabled soda fountains and homes to store larger quantities of ice cream more efficiently. Less labor-intensive production methods reduced costs and improved consistency. Countertop freezers allowed busy operators to maintain variety without constant manual preparation. Innovation in single-serve ice cream products flourished during this period. The chocolate-covered ice cream bar, the popsicle, patented in 1923, and the ice cream-filled Dixie cup all emerged as companies sought to capture the growing market for portable frozen treats. These products required minimal preparation but offered maximum appeal to customers seeking convenient indulgence. The cultural shift was remarkable. Ice cream transformed from occasional luxury to regular entertainment. Families made ice cream shop visits routine weekend activities. Dating couples chose soda fountains over speakeasies. Community events featured ice cream socials rather than drinking parties. Even children's birthday parties increasingly centered around ice cream celebrations. Marketing and advertising for ice cream also evolved during Prohibition, emphasizing family values, health benefits, and social acceptability that contrasted sharply with alcohol's newly illegal status. Ice cream advertisements presented frozen treats as wholesome entertainment suitable for all ages and social classes. World War II. Ice cream goes to war. World War II created an unexpected chapter in ice cream history when the U.S. military made frozen desserts a strategic priority for maintaining troop morale. The relationship between ice cream and wartime service demonstrates how deeply frozen treats had become embedded in American culture and identity. The military's commitment to ice cream was both practical and symbolic. Military leaders recognized that familiar comfort foods could significantly impact soldier morale, especially during long deployments in difficult conditions. Ice cream represented home, normalcy, and American prosperity, powerful psychological tools for maintaining fighting spirit among troops far from familiar surroundings. By 1943, the U.S. Armed Forces had become the world's largest ice cream manufacturers, producing millions of gallons annually for military consumption. This massive operation required dedicated equipment, specialized personnel, and significant logistical resources. The military established ice cream production facilities at bases worldwide, often adapting local conditions and ingredients to maintain supply. The Navy's commitment to ice cream reached legendary proportions with the commissioning of a floating ice cream barge, essentially a floating factory capable of producing thousands of gallons of ice cream for ships at sea. This vessel could serve multiple ships simultaneously, ensuring that even sailors on extended missions could enjoy frozen treats. Individual military units developed creative solutions for ice cream production under challenging conditions. Troops fashioned makeshift ice cream makers from aircraft parts, vehicle components, and salvaged materials. Recipes adapted to available ingredients, sometimes producing unusual but satisfying variations using powdered milk, tropical fruits, and improvised flavorings. The military's ice cream emphasis also served diplomatic and propaganda purposes. American ice cream production demonstrated the nation's industrial capacity and material abundance to allies and enemies alike. Sharing ice cream with Allied forces and liberated populations became a symbol of American generosity and prosperity. Home-front ice cream production faced challenges due to wartime rationing of sugar, dairy products, and other essential ingredients. However, the government maintained civilian ice cream availability, recognizing its importance to domestic morale. Ice cream manufacturers developed recipes using substitute ingredients and alternative sweeteners to maintain production despite shortages. The war accelerated technological innovations in ice cream production and preservation. Military requirements for stable, portable frozen desserts drove development of improved freezing techniques, better packaging methods, and more efficient production processes. These innovations would benefit civilian ice cream industry throughout the post-war boom. Veterans returning from military service brought heightened appreciation for ice cream that contributed to the explosive growth of the ice cream industry during the 1950s. The association between ice cream and positive wartime memories helped establish frozen desserts as symbols of victory, prosperity, and American values. The post-war boom, ice cream for everyone. The period following World War II marked ice cream's complete transformation from luxury item to everyday staple accessible to virtually all Americans. Multiple factors converged to create unprecedented demand and innovation in frozen desserts that established the modern ice cream industry. Returning veterans brought wartime appreciation for ice cream to civilian life, creating immediate demand for frozen treats that reminded them of military service and victory celebrations. The GI Bill enabled millions of veterans to pursue education and home ownership, increasing disposable income available for entertainment and indulgences like ice cream. Technological advances perfected during wartime found civilian applications that revolutionized ice cream production and distribution. Improved refrigeration systems enabled grocery stores to stock ice cream regularly rather than seasonally. Better packaging preserved quality during transportation and storage. More efficient production methods reduced costs while improving consistency. The development of soft-serve ice cream in the mid-1930s by companies like Dairy Queen and Carvel reached full commercial potential during the post-war boom. Soft-serve required less expensive equipment than traditional hard ice cream, enabling smaller operators to enter the market. The product's appeal to children and its association with fun, casual dining made it perfect for the emerging car culture and suburban lifestyle. Highway development and suburbanization created ideal conditions for ice cream business expansion. Drive-in restaurants, roadside stands, and shopping center ice cream shops capitalized on Americans' increasing mobility and leisure time. Ice cream became associated with family outings, vacation travel, and recreational